right.
We have Nancy and Amy are on.
Okay.
You joined it at the MTA?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, last
We have
weekend
Nancy and Amy are on.
with the head of the MTA. There's a place up in Columbia Cove as
Okay.
well.
Hi, Nancy.
And he's
Hi.
an old friend because
Are we ready to convene?
Yes, we are recording. We're live.
All right. Hello, this is September the 9th. I'll call it 7:40. We're convening the September meeting of the West 102nd and 103rd Streets Block Association. We have a couple of changes to the agenda since it was published. The two pending items, tax status and directors and officers insurance, we will not be discussing tonight. I have an announcement to make regarding a Ballet Hispanico event we've been invited to. I have an announcement related to a generous contribution we received. And one of our residents and former board members, Nancy Groffer. Hi, Nancy. I can't see you, but I hope you can see me. Is here tonight with a couple of questions regarding the shared street survey. Oh, also new business, Janet. Under new business, we have eco event Janet Parvelchuk. She's expecting to be here in person around 8 p.m. All right, so my plan is to dispense with the consent calendar and then give Nancy the floor so she can ask her questions. And then we will move on with our old business. Okay? Okay. Consent calendar, we have the minutes from July with Celia distributed. We have the treasurer's report for August and September, which Ethan distributed, and we have the BAIP report, which Celia distributed. Does anybody have any questions or comments or corrections to any of those documents? Amy, you're there and you can hear me?
Yes,
Good, okay. All right, so would somebody like to move that we accept the consent calendar items as they were distributed? Ethan is making that motion. Somebody second?
Second.
Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? Okay, let's move on. Nancy, I'm giving you the floor first, so you don't have to listen in as we slog through, but you are welcome to listen in as we slog through the rest of our agenda if you care to.
thanks, Hetty. I appreciate it. I looked at the newsletter and I see that there is a survey about the shared streets. And a couple of questions. One is, if you could explain the process that led to the Block Association board decision to circulate the survey.
Yes. When the Block Association agreed to support the project a couple years ago, we did it with the understanding that there would be periodic review of the project, and especially since it was implemented and we received so much outcry from people who felt like they hadn't been heard and who objected to the loss of the parking spaces and other features as well. We thought it was time to check in with the community and see how people felt.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. So another question is, there is a question in the survey about extending the shared streets to the block between West End Avenue and Riverside Drive. I guess I thought that was a fait accompli, and I was surprised to see it there. So I'm just wondering about that.
A fait accompli that it was happening, or that
That it was not going to happen.
Right, in the original plan that got taken off the list, I think that was the Department of Transportation's attempt to mollify those who were opposed. It was not something the Block Association was aware of until it was told to us. So in the interest of really canvassing the community to find out who likes it, who doesn't like it, who wants more, who wants less, it seemed like an appropriate question to ask.
Okay. And how does the Block Association plan to, how and when do they plan to share the results, both with the Block Association?
We put a deadline of mid-October in there. We'll review all of the responses we get at that time. And then in the December newsletter, the winter newsletter, as we call it, we will publicize the feedback that we've received. It will also go up on the website. If it seems like some sort of public meeting is warranted, we could convene that. If it seems like an email to our email list is in order, we can do that, but that doesn't reach as many people as the newsletter does. So it will be publicized in any number of ways.
And is there a plan to share it with the Department of Transportation?
Yes.
And
The intent all along was to share the results with the Shared Street Committee as well as
what is
depends
the,
on what we find out, whether it's germane to the Department of Transportation.
what is the Shared Streets Committee? I don't know what that is.
Oh, that's the organization that proposed having the shared street to begin with, that
see.
operates it, that is in touch with DOT, that is not, it's not a block association project.
I understand that. Okay. So, all right. So you're just trying to get a reading from the Block Association community about this.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I thank you so much. You've answered my questions. I appreciate it. And I appreciate going first, because I will not stay for the rest of the meeting. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.
Okay. Ready? Moving on. I put first governance because we have reached that time when we really need a new plan. I am not chairing anymore. We're done. I am not at this moment leaving the board. That's not what I want to have happen. I just need to be relieved of the responsibilities of chairing. So I am open to somebody else raising his or her hand to say, okay, I'll do it. Or I'm open to somebody else taking it on with me as a co. I'm open to trying to make it be a rotating thing if that's what it needs to make it work. But tonight's the night we need a plan. Don't all raise your hands like
I should just say that I have no interest in doing it, so speaking from that perspective, but I think it would actually be good for the next generation of people, me and Eddie and others to take it on, because you know, we need to rotate it.
There are two main functions that, as I've been thinking about, so what does it mean to be a chair? There are two main things that need to start happening, so that I don't have to be in charge. One is to keep track of the agenda, which I do by taking this month's agenda and scribbling all over it, and then 2 weeks after the meeting, make sensible form and give it to Caitlin to post on the website. That's one function. And then obviously being here at the meeting to move the agenda along. And the other function is receiving info at emails. Which Amy also gets, as do I. So if we wanted to split up those two duties, and one person was willing to take on the responsibilities of chairing the meeting, and the other was going to not necessarily be in charge of responding to all the info ads, although a lot of them are really very simple, like Nancy wrote and needed the link for the meeting. It's not hard to do. Sometimes there is a question that's a little more challenging, but we all have our roles pretty well described. So if it's a treasury question, whoever's getting info at could send it along to Gary and Ethan. If it's a shared street sort of a question, it could get sent along to Peter or anybody else he considers knowledgeable to respond to that. So if it makes it easier to come up with a plan to look at it in terms of those two major responsibilities, maybe that makes it a little less daunting. Amy,
Yes, I'm here.
okay, would you be willing to do the funneling of the info at emails?
I would be willing to do it at least for the short term. I'm
For the
this
short
moment,
term.
I'm kind of, I mean, I know everyone has a lot on their plate, but I have the helping with the newsletter. I have dealing with all the emails, the email blasts, maintaining the email list. And I just, I can't keep
also-
doing all of that. So
You're also writing Herd on Bloomingdale Bites.
well, that's, you know, they're
Liaison
situational
with
things,
cinema.
but that's also, you know, my choice and that's fine. I just I can't do all of that. In fact, I'm starting to feel like I'd love to offload the email stuff on somebody, but I don't think it can be a non-board member because it has to do with our essential communication, but that's a discussion for another time. Since I've been receiving the info ats, I know kind of what they are, and I've seen how Hetty responds to them. And yes, I'm willing to do that at least for some amount of time.
Thank you. So that means it's just a question of updating the agenda and running the meetings.
So I'm wondering for the agenda, if we just do a Google Doc and allow everyone, we all have the editing ability and can just make an agenda online with people contributing, saying like this should be part of the agenda and just doing it as a shared document. Could that work?
I think it just requires a prompt. So if, for example,
Yeah.
you did that,
Well,
it-
and maybe we rotate the person who's on point to oversee it and come up with, how many of us are there?
Okay,
And we have 11 meetings, so everyone gets 1 month of being on point to oversee the agenda and to chair the meeting.
There are a
make sense?
couple of other things that I think we're gonna need somebody to be stewarding that, in addition to, you know, hopefully repeating our great dinner that we had and other things like that. We assume you're gonna do that, and et cetera. But two things I think that are that there really are things we have to move on are the 501c3 issue. Getting it going or not going, when we're getting on it. I mean, we're pretty much at the point of decision now on that. And the other is making some sense out of the material that's one day going to come from the guy over at the BID on security.
Right.
And so that I think Peter probably would be willing to continue.
What is
We
that?
continue. We have a question, we have a
the
strategy.
survey of security measures that are already in place in the neighborhood, so we can evaluate how we could put them to use rather than hiring a park.
You know. So, I mean, those two, but I think that one Peter probably is interested in and would
Yeah, he had indicated that he'd like it if somebody else was the liaison for that, but nobody
Yeah,
came forward to do that, so he was.
but the 501c3 thing.
Right, I check in with David, who's researching that for us monthly, and when I do the agenda, David, we're having our meeting, do you think you'll have something to present to us? And sometimes he does, and this time he wrote me back just today and said he'd had some surgery, so he's behind, but he'll try for soon. So it means following up on the agenda items as needed.
Yeah.
It's not simply to put the items in place.
I think where I can be helpful is the newsletter, the communications, the emails, that sort of thing. If it's a compliment to what Amy is suggesting that she does, I'm happy to take part of that or help in that regard, as well as with the events, which I'm happy to continue.
Thank you. Amy, did you hear that?
I did. I appreciate that. I would really welcome that if you're, we could talk separately about that.
Yeah, happy to divvy that up.
I mean, I think that even if we divvy up the responsibilities, there needs to be a name who is the head. There needs to be a person in that position. And I am concerned that we, and I have been saying this for a couple of years, that we do not have enough board members because everybody is so busy. Nobody really can take on more. And I mean, one idea would be to make our way through the rest of this year, rotating tasks and divvying it up in whatever way, but then making a concerted effort to recruit more people with the idea that they'll become officers. And I know it's not ideal because then they don't have the experience that everyone else has, but I do feel that we're getting to the point where people are burning out. At least I am. And I think Hetty is. Maybe I shouldn't speak for her, but I think that's.
No, you're correct. And, I've been saying for quite some time that I wanted to give up being chair. And it continues to be an unresolved issue. And when I think about, so what do I do about that? Aside from try to figure out who we could recruit, how we could redistribute the responsibilities, it leaves me in a position where I feel like it's forcing my hand a little bit, that the only way to relieve myself of doing this thing that I don't want to do is just to leave the organization. And I don't really want to do that either. So the rock and the hard place are getting harder. So if somebody's willing to take on oversight of the agenda, at least for October.
Yeah, I just created a document and I sent it around to everyone. So everyone has access to it. I just copied the September agenda and we can update it during this meeting and then afterwards.
Would you be willing to chair the October meeting with the understanding that it will be somebody else doing November?
Assuming I'm around. And it would be, oh wait, it's the 14th. Yeah, I should be able to do that.
It's October 14th.
Yeah, I believe so. That's the second Tuesday.
That sounds right.
Yeah,
But the 10th was Columbus Day. No, the
no,
13th
13th
is
is Columbus Day.
I mean, Indigenous Peoples' Day. Okay, so 10/14, Rich, it's you.
Yeah.
Does somebody want to volunteer now for November?
I'll do November.
All right. Somebody want to volunteer for December?
I can do something.
All right, so that covers us through the end of the year. let's give it a try, see how it goes for 3 months. Revisit as needed. Do we need to do that like with a motion or anything, or can we just agree? Okay.
The only other thing would be to nominate Peter as chair.
I thought about that. He's not here to argue, so we could
That's
do it.
right.
Um,
He's asleep.
Would he be interested?
He might be interested, but I think it's not at this moment anyway an appropriate choice because he is in charge of the shared street. And while we're doing the shared street survey, to make him chair is kind of a mixed message about where we, the organization, stand on shared street.
So are either you or Amy willing to have the title for the next 3 months too?
I don't mind being second chair to whoever's running things, and I will happily answer questions and describe, do this, do that, so that we get up and running. And I suppose when those questions come up, it would make sense to CC the entire board, because if we're taking turns, instead of each person having to ask the same question over and over again, we can all follow along and learn as we go. Okay. Rich, the big thing you'll have to remember is in a couple of weeks, right around October 1st, is when you'll need to get the agenda to Caitlin for posting at the website. Okay.
Yeah, and between now and then, I've emailed it to everyone, so let's just use it as a living document. Let's
Okay.
try to
Use
shape the
tonight.
agenda as much as tonight, and then as we can tonight, and then make whatever changes we need in the next few
Right.
weeks.
Many of our items just do carry over,
Yeah.
and then they also get, sometimes, you know, the events, Halloween will stop being an issue and instead caroling will be a topic, or
Mhm.
once caroling's not a topic, maybe we'll have a new public meeting to discuss. We have a certain flow and rhythm, from month to month. Okay. Moving on, next item, longest table. We already have spoken since it happened. I think the big questions for tonight are everything got straightened out with cabins now been paid.
Yeah.
At the end of our last meeting in July, we had an executive session in which we had agreed to express our appreciation, gratitude to the bid for all the extra time and effort they put in on our account, but then part of their bill included a fee for all the extra time and effort they put in on our account. So we revisited whether we wanted to do that, which I think was all appropriate. So we're now, I believe, square with them. I don't think it's a bad idea to extend a thank you to them for helping us get it off the ground. I think we would just need to adjust the amount.
Sorry, are you saying another donation to them? Or just a?
We haven't made a donation to
We
them. We
didn't.
have only paid them for services rendered.
I feel like we're whole.
Yeah.
I don't feel like we need to do something
Okay.
different. I think they were appreciative. And again, I'm reading through the communications. I don't know the history, whatever, but I've read through that of like, they were so appreciative, like, oh, thank you for covering the bills. They didn't expect it. So I think in doing so.
We already did what
we're
we were
good.
trying to do.
Yes, it basically, it accomplished what we were trying to do. I think they would do it again in a minute. I think we would know a new budget level going forward. And we can debate if that's right or not, but, I think, yeah, I feel like we've closed that. With those guys. I'm happy to extend
That's
a
your,
thank you of words. But I think it was a big success. Everybody felt like they contributed and received. And I think that's what the success was. And we did a little survey after it was very late, so we did not have a lot of response. I think it was 16 people responded, and it was a simple, what did you get out of it? And it was very consistent with other longest tables that we've done, where it's like, 7 out of 10 people felt less lonely and more connected to their neighborhood. 90% felt like they met somebody new. And 16% 16 of the 16 knew it was a VA event.
Okay,
They knew it was a 102nd Third Street Block Association event, so I think that itself was a question and success of like, they know. Excellent, what this is going toward, that's a good example of that. So,
you did a great job.
well, it was a big group effort, as you saw.
Yes.
I loved, and this is unique to other tables that I've been involved in. What I loved is the participation of different organizations. That was truly community based, like for the Marseille and the hostel and the school and the halfway house and like all that was such a true coming together. And so there's other things that we could do, restaurants and whatever, of course, but that was nobody else has pulled that off that I've seen. And that's good. And for our first time, that was amazing.
Does anybody else have input on the topic of, are we bold with the bid?
Well, I started out irritated at the fact that the number was so much higher than what we thought it was gonna be, but you know, when you went through what they did and the fact that we went from assuming that we would have a few hundred people to 600, is that what it was?
500 plus, yeah.
So on it, and you know, we really did need all that extra help, and so I felt comfortable in paying them for what they billed us for.
It was literally like didn't know it had happened an hour later.
Right, it's always remarkable how
yeah.
those things just disappear.
The New York phenomenon.
Part two,
We should get them to turn the rain on like 3 hours later to wash it off.
Instead of 20 minutes before.
Yeah.
we'll have to have Block Association with giant golf umbrellas.
Oh, there you go.
Um,
And I appreciated the mystery drone shot, the overhead.
yeah. Do you have a date for next year?
Oh, the good question. I thought that worked out beautifully. The end of summer, or
Yeah.
end of school year,
Yeah.
summer. And again, we sort of landed on this Thursday evening, 6 to 8 in the, longest light week of the year. I thought that worked out really nicely. It felt like an end of school time frame, but people were still around, not the weekend.
The last day of school this coming cycle, I believe
I think it's
is
June 26th.
Friday, the 26th, yeah, instead of Thursday, the 26th.
I don't know that I would do a Friday
Yeah.
night,
No.
especially that close to summer.
So you could do the 25th,
Yeah, or it could be a Wednesday or Tuesday or
some
something.
other day, okay. So you think aiming for the last week of June?
I think end of June. What do you guys think? And we'll
Well-
coordinate with Rich's schedule.
Yeah, and one thing for me is I'm gonna have a high school graduation. I don't know what day yet. And then we have my wife's party, but I don't know what to do about that.
Which school?
Wrong Science, I don't think they've announced yet.
Well, and the other thing, don't forget, we sort of pushed it this year because that was 8 weeks from when we started. And to do it sooner, we were kind of kidding ourselves.
Hmm.
So it was sort of the earliest we could have done it without getting into summer. And so if we did it early June, I think that could work also.
Yeah, I would think early to mid-June could be better. I think people start being less available as you get closer to summer.
Yeah, okay.
So-
We could look at a weekend or, I don't know,
A week
like we don't have
too,
to solve
yeah.
it now. I think the month of June.
Do a Wednesday or Thursday night,
I
early to
would-
mid-June.
Yeah.
No.
Would it be usual for schools to have their graduation in the last week of the school year?
No, Bronx's last year was Thursday, the 25th, the very last day, so.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe we should do it a week before.
You want to avoid the 21st, because that's always Make Music, New York, the solstice day, but you could go the week before or. Okay, so the answer to
Yeah.
do you have a date is no, and we'll just
The
have to
month of
circle
June-
back to that.
Month of June.
You like the time frame?
I thought it worked out nicely, and again, it sort of fills this gap from the Halloween and Bloomingdale Bites and,
Yeah.
which are later, so I think it worked out.
We got that email from somebody who wanted to do one, and I put her in touch with you.
That was cabinet. Cabot.
Cabot, right?
Yeah, they wanted to do one in
Uh-huh.
their street that they have for
Why
the,
did I think there was something that St. Michael's?
I don't know, there's a number of, like, now the nineties association wants to do one,
Okay.
there's one happening in Washington Heights. One happening in
That's
Spookwood,
enough.
things this past weekend, so they're happening in lots of places.
Right.
And
How gratifying that must be.
Okay.
So you were able to interact with Erin and the Cabot
Yes,
folks?
yes,
and-
they didn't end up doing it that I know of, but
Okay. Let's carry on. The return of Bloomingdale Bites. Amy, do you have anything to report?
October 9th, 6 to 9 p.m. We need volunteers. If anybody at the table is or on the Zoom willing to, Terrence already did volunteer. We just need people to sit at the door and take money, help set up, maybe help serve the food. But of course, BID is involved and West 104th is involved, so we'll be getting volunteers from them as well.
I will help with that, but I just don't know whether they're gonna want me driving around again or if I can do something like sit at the table. So when you coordinate the volunteers with Daniel and Erin,
Yes, we're gonna.
you can figure that out.
Okay. And otherwise, things are going smoothly. The Upper West Side Cinema Center has put together a little video to show, 15 minutes, and I think the theme is New York City in film. And then the trivia contest will be after that. A bunch of restaurants have already signed on. There's a flyer, which I sent to Ethan today to put on Instagram.
Oh, no.
And that's pretty much it. So anyone interested in volunteering can contact me, or I also put bites at West 102nd and 103rd Street Block Association for the general public, but those emails come to me.
Did you feel any concern at all that the number of RSVPs has climbed even before our newsletter hard copies are out?
Well, Steve, he asked me when ours was going to be out, and I told him the end of last week, probably. And for whatever reason, he read that as I'm going to send it out on Tuesday. So his went out, 4 or 5 days before ours did. But, there are 150 spaces, and maybe half had been taken. And then we always have to figure that there are going to be more RSVPs than people who actually show up. So we'll see. But I'm going to send an email blast out next week with just the flyer and encouraging people to RSVP.
Are we doing flyers in building lobbies?
We could. I have the flyer from Erin. I can forward it. Would I forward it to you, Hetty, and you'd print them? How do we usually do that?
If you forward it to me, I can forward it to the people in the big buildings and ask each of them to print it up and put it on a bulletin board. And then what we sometimes do is print up a couple dozen extras and somebody walks around and tapes them up in the townhouses.
Okay, I will, I'll
Let's
check.
focus on the big buildings for now.
Yeah, okay, so I'll check that I'll send the flyer to you.
Okay.
It's too late for now, but I see that we're allowing people to RSVP for free and then charging them at the door. Have we thought about charging them when they RSVP? Which would just give us a much better sense of who's coming.
We did think about that, and it became complicated because if they paid and then they didn't show up, we would have to figure out some way to reimburse them. And
Or just make it non-refundable.
yeah, and then I was afraid nobody would RSVP.
Yeah.
So we waited. We went back and forth. We actually were originally going to have them RSVP and pay, and then we just decided not to do it. But the way we worked it out is if you are RSVP, you have to be there by 6:15 or your spot is given to someone else. So if there are a lot of people who line up who haven't RSVP'd, they have a chance of getting in.
Does it sell out? I mean, do you get hit capacity?
Yeah, we did.
Did we hit capacity on both of them or just the first one?
Just the first one. The second one was 2 days after Trump got reelected, and it was nighttime and it was dark, and it was, I think it kind of depressed attendance.
Yes.
In many ways.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else, Amy?
Not on that.
All right, let's keep moving. Janet Purvlechuck has arrived, so you get bumped up.
Oh, okay,
So you don't have to sit through all of our other topics.
okay.
Although you're welcome to if you care to.
So I'm Janet Harwelchuk. I live at 300 Riverside Drive. And, in February, we had in our building, we have a lobby in our street level, our sub-street level. And, we had an event, that we called a Pro Planet Party. And, it was very successful. Our idea was to highlight for the people in our building what sustainable practices they could be involved with, like recycling and composting and swapping out bad things for good things. And we had some things for the kids to do. And it was overall a success. And we had this little model of a recycling truck, and then we had these bins, and they had to sort things, that the kids had to sort things. We had them break down boxes to show the adults, like, you can break down a box. That makes it easier for everyone in your building to, for the people, your staff, building staff, to not have to use big plastic bags. And so we had both some hands-on exhibits that people could actually touch and move, and some more like poster session things, like trifolds and things like that. The idea, like, use this, not that. Reusable bowl covers instead of plastic wrap. These, I think they're made by Glad, sort of waxed paper baggies rather than using plastic bags. I was a teacher for 20 years, and I saw so many plastic bags get thrown away after being, holding 6 grapes for 2 hours or something. So it's crazy what goes on. And so I ran into Amy, who lives in my building, and I said, do you think we could bring this to the Block Association? Do you think we could have like perhaps an outdoor fair? So, sort of a fair kind of, and with people wandering through wearing badges that say, like, ask me about composting, or we had that, ask me about recycling. We had 2 boards up, one with frequently asked questions about composting, one about recycling. And Sharon Wasco from It's Easy Being Green participated, and she was, very knowledgeable about all things compostable and recycling and all the laws and rules. And so I just wanted to bring it up as a possibility. We thought, Amy and I just were spitballing it around and said maybe in the spring, with the idea of like renewal and Earth Day and, Earth Month in April, maybe we could do something to help spur people, because we've kept our composting going throughout the pandemic, and we had it started before that, but we have 5 or 6 of those big brown bins every week. And I don't think any other building does that around here. So maybe not even in the city. So I know it can be done. I know we can all do better, and I'd like to encourage that. So
Are you thinking of this as an event for the whole neighborhood? Or are you thinking of rolling it out for individual buildings?
I thought we could do it for the people that are most interested, like have it as an event on a Saturday, a weekend. And just
Like a fair and
like a
outdoor.
fair, yeah, and have stuff for the kids and stuff for adults, and educational but fun, and trying to make an impact in people's habits.
I wonder if You know, Peter often does an Earth Day thing on the shared street on 103rd between Broadway and West End. Whether we could make this part of that.
That would be fine to, make it into, if there's something that's already, people sort of expect already, to make it maybe a little bit larger, a little bit deeper in terms of the impact.
He has music and, kid entertainment, so the drawing of the audience, some of that work already is taken care of.
And it's a Earth Day focused theme.
And it's an Earth Day theme, and because it's a shared street, as we enjoyed for the longest table, it means they handle the permitting process. We don't have to do that ourselves to close off one of the streets.
Yeah, I don't think this needs to be its own separate event. I think if there's something we could roll this into. And I like the idea of it being on the shared street, right near the subway.
Peter, who manages the shared street, is not here tonight because he's out of the country on vacation. I'm gonna send an
And we had a
email.
lot of volunteers from my building, who helped me with, pulling this thing off. And I imagine that some or all of them will be willing to help out again,
I'm going to write an email to you and to Peter, and I'll introduce you.
Okay.
And let him know that.
Peter
we spoke
Christoph?
of-
Yeah,
Yes.
I've heard of him. I've never actually
Okay.
met him.
Okay. And, the first question is, because he is the manager of the shared street, whether he likes this plan.
Mhm.
I'm almost certain.
He
that
will.
Well,
The other thought is, I just went to DSNY's website. They have an outreach and events team. It says we provide community outreach to educate New Yorkers about recycling, curbside composting, and other sanitation programs. We speak at schools, table at job fairs, participate in touch a truck events, and give presentations at residential buildings and community meetings. So I bet they would love to be involved in it.
Yeah, I've worked with because I was a teacher, I've worked with, in the Department of Education, there's an Office of Energy and Sustainability. Because there is let's say, aspirational, philosophy of zero waste schools we are far, far from that. But, I think the people at the Department of Sanitation, I know because I attended the Sanitation Foundation has a trash academy, and they're very data driven, and they're very interested in outreach, and they want to try to make converts all, wherever they can. So that would be.
well, aren't there new bins coming in? And all of that, where it's sort of preceded.
Yeah, if you drive along Riverside Drive, you can already see some.
Yeah,
out front.
Amsterdam.
108th Street has them. In the newsletter, there's a list of places where you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
look at them.
Well, and I feel like the supposed April 1st law that we're now all composting has gotten attention. There's a whole lot more that I see in our building at least of that happening.
Mhm.
So I think it's more happening.
Sounds
There's
like-
also a composting in Riverside Park, just south of the tennis courts. What used to be there used to be a parking lot on both sides of the tennis courts. They've converted the south parking lot into a composting area.
That people can drop off.
Community?
at?
No, I think it's,
It's where they bring stuff.
yeah, I think it's where they bring stuff. I'm not sure
Oh.
exactly how it's used, but they have signs up and
They may do that with, yard waste, sort of, that.
yeah,
Mulching and
Yeah.
The other thing, Janet, that I know that Sharon is connected to and meets often with some of the students at the Columbia Climate School. And we might be interested in coming down and running a table or somehow participating. So Sharon would be a good resource for contacting them.
Mhm.
maybe they could do some sort of display and, as a project for them, be in charge of a aspect of it.
Yeah, definitely. Sharon, Wasco is, I guess, the head of It's Easy.
Yeah.
It's Easy Being Green, which is a Beyond Plastics affiliate. And, she's in here, and, she's gonna be at the West 104th Street Block Association, their street fair, in a couple weeks.
Yeah, we always have a column
From
from them.
Yeah.
are there any updates on your solid waste panel, and could there be any links between this
We
and that?
could do an event, I had thought that we would do it sometime in the gap, you know, where we're
Yeah,
not doing other
February,
stuff somewhere
Yeah,
in
March.
early February or something like, somewhere in that vicinity, and I have, I did meet with the person that you said
Yeah.
belonged to, is this guy who really knows the entire system, in incredible detail, and he would be really useful to talk about that, and then now with all of the examples that we have out, I mean, actually, they've done on 111, 12, and 13, all of those streets are done with the
The bins.
Big receptacles, yeah.
you know, on it, and I have never seen I've never seen a truck that actually picks them up, but if we were to do, you know, if we were to do this kind of event, we could bring one of these and have the truck
them
show how
demonstrate.
how it deals with it.
I've seen it out of the city. I haven't seen it
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
All right.
just to put one
I'm
thing,
not
I
sending
am.
that home with you. That's actually earmarked for another building, but you'll have
Okay.
it in your building within a
Okay.
few days.
Okay, very good.
There's just one other thing, which is that we usually in the beginning of May do the planting of the
Tree wells.
tree wells and all the rest. We could combine that day with it. If we do it on a weekend, we could do it.
We don't have to only hope for one good, clear day.
That's right. Yeah,
It'd be great. It's a great idea, Janet.
Okay, good.
Happy to support
Yeah,
making it happen.
I'm excited about it. Very good. And
Excellent.
I just retired, so I can devote more time to it.
You're hired.
All right, great.
Watch my email
All
in
right.
the next couple of days.
And I want to just say thank you all for your service, because I really enjoy being, you know, on a block that has a strong block association. It makes a real difference.
I'm glad.
So
How long
thanks.
have you lived here? When did you move in?
I moved in, I think 1990 or 91, so
A new kid. on the block.
35 years? Whoa, maybe I'll make it to one of those 50-year things.
Yeah.
I used to go, oh, well, that's something.
Yeah.
I'm well more than halfway.
Bye. Those who didn't know, Janet also has read stories at our Halloween event.
Okay, can I say something about that? Is there an opening for her to do a storytelling?
or chair.
At Halloween.
No.
Wait,
What happened?
We forgot to ask her to join as an officer and run as a.
let her get her feet.
While you're here.
No.
Yeah. No,
Oh, at the event.
At
You would
the
read aloud.
Eco event.
Sure, why not?
I didn't want to put her on the spot. It was uppermost in my mind when I saw her.
Because you've heard her read.
No, I have.
Oh, no? She's good. I will mention that to her when I write to her. All right, let's keep moving so we don't run out of time. Ethan, reminders to contributors. Where are we at?
Think we're ready to go?
Are we?
I believe so, yeah, we have a final copy. I believe everyone's seen it, right?
My mind is
How
asleep.
about I send it around
Once
again?
upon a time, I was a
Yeah.
little bit ago.
I'll send it around again, and if everyone's okay with it, maybe give a week, everyone take a look at it.
Remind us what we
Sure.
decided about the timing of it.
It'll be sent out monthly,
Right.
reminders for, coming due and then basically overdue. I have to look back at my notes.
Okay.
It's been like 3 months since.
Yeah, it's been a bit.
But basically one before and one
One after.
after.
With a little time in between. Okay. Great, thank you. So in our next newsletter, Amy,
Yeah,
Membership.
what have we been up to
Well,
that goes in there?
What is the timing of the next newsletter?
December, winter,
well, but copy needs to come in.
November, mid-November is.
Yeah,
what-
mid-November.
How are we on membership? Do we sense?
I have no idea.
it goes like this. The
Monday.
next few weeks, we'll get a lot of donations. Assume this goes with out with a envelope.
Right.
Um,
When we distribute the newsletter, we get a flurry of
yeah.
donations.
And then
Not
we-
necessarily new members, could be old members repeating. Do we keep tabs of how many new members we get at any given time?
No, yeah, we can though. Yeah.
Okay, once you get this, that's next.
Okay.
Yeah. I think the short answer though is that in the summer, for example, the last 2 months, we've had very few people sending their money in. They're all away on vacation or doing other kinds of things on it. And toward the end of the year, we get a surge. December is always a good month on it. And there's something very strange going on with the post office, and when they put stuff into our postal box, they seem to accumulate them and then put them into the box.
I have had such trouble with mail recently,
Yeah.
such trouble, like things don't arrive.
I've had things returned to sender when my address was perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Important things.
Yeah. I had, for example, last month, I closed the books off on, I think the 27th. And I went there, to make sure there weren't any envelopes in.
Oh, you mean for the Block Association mailbox?
Yeah, that's right. And there were a few in, but the last item was postmarked the 11th of the month. Now, it may have happened in August, people don't, at the end of the month, I can't believe that, it just doesn't make any sense. And so I did speak with the person at the postmaster. She said, no, we put it in as soon as it comes. But
Remember the gentleman that was helping with the 501c3 or 4?
yeah,
He said that he tried to mail something and it was returned to him,
yeah,
Yeah.
the Block Association,
yeah.
for no reason.
So now I'm with this newsletter and the survey out, Gary, there's a chance at least that you'll be getting some paper responses
Good.
in the PO box. So if you can check it, fairly regularly when you're around, that would be
But
helpful.
isn't it addressed to you? Is there instruction, Hetty?
There's options. You can do it online.
Yeah.
You can mail it to the post office box, or you can drop it off with my doorman. So I'll accumulate those, you'll accumulate those, and some way we'll just do the paper ones and add it to the collating that the Google server will do.
So is there anything to be done with the post office?
And we put that as a new business for October.
Then we probably should look at what these private postal boxes are doing.
Somebody on the shared Google Doc and post office as an agenda
Agenda.
item, thank you, for October. All right, let's keep moving. I'm gonna skip shared street update because Peter's not here to talk about it, but I will say that I know that he submitted the beautiful thank you note that was created, that we had all those signatures put on at the longest table. Also going to skip security survey and street love program because he is not here to update us on those. Amy, you and I should talk about the newsletter. I'll kick it off by saying it exists. You should be getting it in your building fairly soon. It went together well. I'm also pleased with how the survey came out, and I'm very grateful to you all for taking my initial paragraph and turning it into that. So good teamwork. Amy, want to add anything?
Yeah, I particularly want to thank Rich for the work he did on creating that survey, which was not easy, and there were several iterations. And
It's
I
funny, I
mean,
was about to jump in and say, I want to thank Amy for the work she did.
right, well, we're both thanking each other, that's fine. The printing it in Spanish is an interesting experiment. And we'll see. I checked earlier today and there have been no responses yet in the Spanish, but I think partly the newsletter is not really out there yet. The paper version anyway.
You know, I just checked and there is one Spanish reply.
Oh, there is. Okay, good.
Yeah, with a comment that's in English.
Okay.
I think they might have just gotten to the wrong one, or maybe they're bilingual. I don't-
That's fine. That's fine. But you know, it was Peter's idea. I think it's a good idea. I mean, obviously we're not going to go to creating a Spanish version of our newsletter, but it was a very inclusive decision and I'm glad we did it and we'll see how much of a response we get. The other thing, Hetty, I wanted to mention was Peter had suggested, or someone had suggested that maybe extra paper copies of the Spanish version, or maybe the whole thing should be dropped off at Marseille.
I will write an email to Anna, who manages the Marseille,
Yeah,
get her input whether we should just do additional copies of the survey or give them extra copies of the newsletter of what she thinks is best.
okay, sounds good. I know Peter's back next week, so if you wanted him to help, we could wait until then. But
Yeah, I have her email and I've corresponded with her successfully, so I don't mind getting
Right.
that going.
okay,
All right.
And I'm happy to help distribute.
Yes, this box will be going up with you. So Amy, yeah, you're off the hook this time.
thank you.
Maybe not forever though.
I'm making friends with all the doormen.
These are all non-dormant building. That's what makes it.
Oh, then I'm just sneaking in whenever I can.
Well, no, there's
I'll explain it all to you after. It's
this building, the building that you guys are all in is one of the buildings on that route, I believe.
right, but I already did that.
Oh, okay.
I figured if I
Oh,
was
so you-
carrying them into the building to give them to Debbie, I can just leave them at the front desk.
I get it. Okay, Debbie, the only thing I would say is some of the townhouses, it's hard to know where to leave it. There's the downstairs part where the mailbox might be, or there's the big door in the front at the top of the steps. And I kind of figured out by where I saw other mail where to leave it, if
Ah.
that makes sense.
And there's rain in the forecast for tomorrow, so I'd wait till Thursday. Because you won't get inside on many of them. You'll just leave it right by the front.
Is there a better time of day, like super early or?
You know, I thought one thing might be to do around the time people leave for work or come home from work, because you might catch someone going into their own building and then they could put it in the foyer or something. That was just a thought I had, but
When I do it similarly.
Strategies.
Right.
I know.
Do it so that somebody's likely to be coming in, you know, I don't know that you should wait till Saturday, but sometimes I do Saturday because people go in and out a lot doing errands on Saturdays. So both, you know, but since it's only Tuesday, you don't need to wait till Saturday. But what Amy said about trying to time it, so it's.
Yeah, I will try tomorrow just because I have time in the day and Friday morning.
Okay.
Easier, but
Thank you.
sure.
Thank you, Debbie. Anything to say about the CB7 cabinet, Amy?
I did go to the meeting today. There was a lot of discussion about dog waste pickup, Hetty.
Oh,
And people talked about putting signs on the tree beds. They also talked about leafleting people, about the law. And anyway, I asked for a copy of their flyer just to see if it's something we might want to do. And then the other big discussion was about one block association, the one on 68th Street. Instead of having tree beds with planting right into the ground, they have like raised beds with pots and planters. And first of all, it keeps the dogs from peeing on the plants. It keeps the rats out. They have a whole system that keeps the rats out. And they said it's much easier to maintain. So the guy who was talking about it said he would send me pictures of what they had. I don't know if it's something that Eliza and Peter might want to tackle at some point. We would have to pay for the planters to start with, but then they would always be there and Um, and there
Yeah.
was
The
some,
tricky part of that is getting permission from the buildings, because the building owner is the one who decides about the tree beds.
I see. Okay, so that might be a consideration.
Remember when we had that whole big thing with Eve Seneko and Camille and 305 Riverside?
I think that was before my time.
Okay, 305 Riverside, just quick history. The landlord of that building absolutely positively refuses to have guards around the tree beds. Because if something happens, he's liable and he doesn't want them, whether it's somebody whose car bumps into it or somebody trips or whatever. So he just refuses. And Camille Cologne, who's a former board member, and Eve, who's also a former board member, had a plan to put tree beds in there, and it stalled because we never figured out. She maintained that, no, we don't have to have the building's permission, and I maintained that unless we know for sure that we don't need the building's permission, no, the block association can't ostracize a building owner by saying, hey, we're gonna supersede you, and we went back and forth, and nothing ever happened. So I don't know, I've always been told that it is up to the building owner. At that time, it was suggested that maybe that's not the case. I have never been told that that's not the case.
Okay,
This is what we're looking at 68th Street.
Oh, so there's
Amy, can you
no
see?
I
tree.
can't see that.
Well, I can share screen.
Okay,
Send the photo around, you know.
So it just looks like a rock bed with a pot in it. So
Yeah. Is that what
right,
you're?
and he explained that the marble, those are small marble chips, and that's what keeps the rats out. And it also, the way this works, the plants are not competing with the tree roots.
Right, they're just in planters instead of in the
Right,
dirt. Trees are trying to survive.
right.
When the trees are watered, it filters down through the rocks.
I guess so. I hope so.
They're rocks, it's not a solid surface.
Right, it's chips.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the last thing is there was a very brief discussion about the whole fiasco with the parking, the smart meters and the parking and how people felt they weren't advised and everything else. But the person who was most exercised about it could only stay for about 20 minutes. So once he left, we moved on to other things.
I have a question about the planters. How are they secured so they're not stolen?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know.
aren't they around the tree?
They're around the tree, but are they attached to the tree? The tree people would get upset about anything being attached to a tree.
You didn't see any chain link, anything there, Rich, did you? in that
Now
plan?
I'm looking at other pictures. Oh, here's another picture. It's largely blocked by cars. Let me
Maybe
Share it
the
on
theft on
Zoom.
68th Street is a different sort of an issue than up here.
Here,
Probably
if you can
the-
see here, it's a different kind of planter here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's those are very heavy, so maybe that would be one to.
Certainly something to look into when maybe we could use some of our capital toward something like that. And Costello would jump all over this project as a volunteer. All right,
I'm curious what my neighbors who manage both our tree well and the one for the building next door who doesn't care to manage theirs, what they would think about it, because we have a number of perennials that they might not be happy about getting rid of and starting new and
but they
having a
could be
planter.
transplanted into plant.
Yeah, they could.
Find out,
Yeah.
that would be great.
Well, I think the problem we have now with the tree wells is that they don't have any soil there. I mean, it's
It's so compressed.
so compressed and that thing's so putting the soil in pots is a way to get some decent growth.
Right.
So,
It's a good
I
idea.
was thinking my daughter who has a place over in Brooklyn, and she has gone through a couple of sets of pots now because people, she's made them very nice, and the
People take them.
next morning, people, they're gone.
Unbelievable. Okay.
All right. I think we're up to dog waste signs. As I suspected, the quote that I had gotten from Nanu over at Best was not for what we need. He does not have the equipment to print on that stuff that, the other signs that we have in some of our tree beds are made out of. So I got the name of who printed those signs from the Peter's email, and I got in touch with that guy. And the pricing is, as you can see on my agenda, that we could get 96 8x6 inch signs. So not exactly the size,
Yeah.
but about.
Mhm.
For $165.12.
Pretty good.
Which-
On metal or on
No, it's that
cardboard?
corrugated plasticky stuff,
Mhm.
and the price, I believe, does not include the little metal support that
Mm.
has to be stuck into the sign and into the dirt. And the reason for that sizing is because of the size of the sheet of material. If you make them 8x6, you get 96 out of the sheet. So,
That's good.
I'd like to move that we go ahead and get 96 of them made. And I'll figure out where you get the little metal stands for them. I know that we have a bunch of those signs already in some of the tree wells. I don't feel strongly about taking away signs that we already have in favor of signs with our logo on them. But on the other hand, if we want to be consistent throughout the neighborhood and have these new signs on all of them, we would need to figure out, in fact, how many tree wells we have in the neighborhood, which is on a map, but I haven't counted. So what do we do?
I suggest we go ahead.
Okay,
That's,
I either get 96 or get twice 96.
yeah.
Get 96 and let's give it a try.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because maybe people will take them or whatever, of course, all the things.
But let's just think the numbers on this 90, if we put how many, two of them or three of them on
We're just gonna do one per
just
tree.
one per tree?
For tree.
Okay.
I'll count up on the map and
Yeah,
see how
yeah,
many we would
yeah.
need to do all of our trees.
And even if you do one street or block and pick one, doesn't matter,
Yeah,
as a start. Then we can,
order
if
enough.
we need the next batch, we can keep going.
Yeah, I can't imagine that we would need more than 96 to do all the trees in our territory. How could we possibly?
Cause it's
One
one,
of
two,
two.
3, 4, 5, that's basically 6 blocks. And
Yeah.
2 sides each, so 2 sides on most. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 11, 12.
And there aren't 9 trees per block, I don't think.
Really close.
Yeah.
You might miss a stretch.
Right, so,
Yeah.
okay, so yes, all those in favor, oh, somebody has to second. All those in favor,
Aye.
anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? All right, I'll take care of it. Eco event we did, tax status, DNO we're not doing. The event, Ballet Hispanico has invited us. I think they were inviting us to publicize this event, but I didn't think that that was the suitable thing for our email list. They are having their 55th annual Celebración Latina Block Party on this Sunday, the 14th, from 12 to 4. It's on 89th between Amsterdam and Columbus. That's where their offices are. But I wanted to let you all know that we, the Block Association, have been formally invited to that. So if you're around and feel like some good fun, there you go. Nancy White has never been a board member, but she's been a volunteer for many, many years. I think she lives in your building, maybe she's 865.
Yeah, I think it is, yeah.
Maybe it says. It's not, you would think I would remember that, but I don't. She always helps with caroling. She's helped when we've had block parties. She's done a variety of things. She recently was the victim of a scam at Chase, I think on 109th Street. And she was having a lot of trouble getting Chase to do the right thing and make her whole. And it was a lot of money. And she, I think, wrote to whoever she thought was going to be able to maybe give her some advice and help. And she spoke to a lawyer and she spoke to BAIP and she had checked in with me. And I had said, you know, I suggest this and I suggest that. She already was in touch with Michael Lasher's office, which I was going to suggest. And, you know, I asked her to just keep in touch and let me know how she's doing. Fast forward several weeks, she got her money back from Chase. She was very happy to have her money back from Chase. She didn't know she was getting it. All of a sudden, the money was just in her account. But as a result of all of that, she sent a note. She didn't send it, she dropped it off with my doorman. I just grabbed it and I had written your name on it. And, you know, then I saw her again a day later and she said, did you open that envelope? I said, no, I was just gonna give it to the treasurer. She said, you should open that envelope. I opened the envelope and the contribution was $500, which I think is a lot for somebody considering that we asked people for what, 140. And her note was worth even more, I think, than the dollars. Here is a donation for whatever purposes you see fit. Thank you too for all your fine work on our behalf. I appreciate David's work as well and help. David Reich from BAIP. This, she put in parentheses, good check is on my Chase bank account, wherever I will soon, end of August or early September, close my account and use another bank instead. Kindly cash or use the check soon. I look forward to my new bank. I hope you had a good summer. I took a trip on the Hudson River all the way to Albany. Wonderful. Sadly, my sister died in Maine before we could get together for our annual visit. Instead, I went to her funeral. All best wishes, Nancy. And she wrote a similar note on the memo in the check that Gary noticed. So I wanted to let you know that there are people who appreciate the things that we do. Sometimes verbally, sometimes with dollars. I felt good about being the kind of organization that somebody who needed help with something felt like she could send an email and get it, or
That's
get
great.
support, or get, you know, that we weren't just a faceless entity. That's all I got.
Wonderful.
I have one question before we stop. Is Debbie, I know some time ago you had all those tablecloths left over from August table, and I'm so curious where they are now.
Oh, they are boxed in my apartment and I thought of this in the wrong time of this meeting. I have, like, where am I to put these things? They were supposedly a
There's the
closet
closet.
here. I have, they're washed and folded and packed. So if you need them for Bloomingdale Bites, is that maybe where you're headed?
No, I just wanted to make sure you had a place to put them that wasn't in your apartment.
I would
just-
love to find a place that's not my apartment. So I was gonna ask here or snoop around where we're sitting, to see, I think there's a closet of some sort, but it's literally like, you know.
I
4
haven't
feet
been in
tall,
the
4 feet-
closet in years. I have no idea how much space is in the closet. So we can look in the closet.
I have, what is it, tablecloths and table holder, number holders and et cetera. So that we don't have to buy again.
The number holders, the plastic
Yeah.
frames.
Sure,
If I ever need to borrow them, can I borrow them?
absolutely. If you can find a place for them here, how's that? Deal, deal.
Any other topics, new, old?
Should we do we have 8 minutes, should we just go through an agenda for next month? What I've got, consent calendar, minutes, treasurer's report, BAIP report. Old business, Bloomingdale Bites recap, because the meeting will be a few days afterwards. The status and the reminders to contributors, newsletter update for the December issue. Copy will be needed by mid-November. Shared street update, CB7 cabinet update, security survey, street love program. We can give it, I think the meeting's the day before the deadline for the street survey. So we'll just go through where that stands. We won't be discussing results yet. I guess an update on dogway signs.
What about this 501(c)(3) thing? Where,
what did he
What's
say
the
in
next
his
step?
email? What was his time frame for getting back to us?
Then new business, just updates on Halloween. We wanted to talk about the post office. We don't need to do either the eco event or Nancy White contribution.
Do you
And
want
then-
to add tree bed alternatives to
Yeah,
old business?
are there other things like caroling or events that would be happening?
Halloween will be important in October. I thought we were gonna discuss that tonight some, but it's not on the agenda and Mary didn't come to say we need to talk about that.
Yeah.
David's answer
now that,
is.
the meeting's only gonna be 2.5 weeks before Halloween.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
There's
She
no
will have
daffodil
well
plant.
planned by that
Yes.
time.
So the solstice carol, so it's just Halloween and solstice caroling for the remainder of the year? There's some
Yes.
daffodil.
The tree well thing is 2 dates in October, but Eliza runs that and I don't know that we need to devote time to it. We could put it on under new business, put the tree bed care, Rich, on the new business. David, about the tax status says I will circulate an updated memo with responses in the next week or so. My apologies, he had eye surgery.
Do we have
Okay.
to discuss, HI and the William Morris Hunt, Mr. Morris Hunt, the architect?
The
Is that,
program,
yeah, that program?
I don't think they need anything from us other than to publicize it, which we did in the
That's on
newsletter.
October 16th, that one.
Yeah. Okay, as long as that's covered.
and then we have pending D&O insurance.
Right, the guy who said he would look into that for us has been very quiet.
All right, and everyone has the link to the agenda if anyone wants to make suggestions. Real quick on the bank scam thing, happened to my daughter's friend. My daughter wrote up an article for the West Side Rag. If people want, I can send a copy of that article around.
This had something to do with her dropping the car and somebody picking it up for her, but not somehow not, taking the
No.
information.
I'll send the article. It was a person having a check and saying we need not able to cash the check, and he signed over the check to her and she take out money and give him cash in exchange.
Anything else? Somebody want to move to adjourn? To adjourn, second?
All right, I'm gonna stop the
Anybody
recording.
else? I think not. Please pass me those newsletters so that we're not